When racing on the streets was outlawed in 1953, a few die-hard Long Islanders set out to build a race circuit second to none in the world. Soon, 3 miles of twisting and plunging trails had emerged from the rugged glacial woodlots at Noyac. This also revealed splendid views of the Peconic estuaries with the Connecticut coast beyond. Second to none in the world, indeed. In 1957, SCCA brought their national championship races to the circuit for the grand opening of the brand new Bridgehampton Road Races Center. Daniel Stanfill also brought his Austin Healey race car with an ulterior motive. He had a miniature camera lens mounted under his rearview mirror, and he also had an Austin truck motor under the hood. If you've known the bridge at speed, you're now in for an emotional jolt. Stanfill's camera car is 222 in the second row, and the black Arnold Bristol 95 with aerodynamic adjustment is his mentor, Leo Rizzo. As the grid is off toward flag stations 2 and 3, only sky and treetops are visible before the track drops out of sight and Daniel finally remembers to turn on the camera for a quick lap at the bridge. The in-car filming took place during 2 days of racing on the new circuit. Notice Daniel's overtaking of Leo and others in this lap sequence. He will also chase down some of the faster racing groups, offering us a rare taste of the ballet-like grace often seen in wheel-to-wheel competitions.
You know, it's amazing watching this old footage. When Guy Frost first showed it to me and said at some point, would I like to comment on what I'm watching and the bridge itself, I just was overwhelmed with all that the bridge meant to me. It's where I first got the racing bug, and there ended up racing professionally for 5 or 6 years. Bridgehampton became our home test track, and it was a fascinating place. It was the most beautiful spot on Long Island. And the track itself, I think, was probably best described by Mario Andretti. He said Bridgehampton separates the men from the boys, and it did. It was relatively easy to do a reasonable lap around Bridgehampton, but to do it right And to set lap records at this place, you knew you had really accomplished something. It's amazing to watch these older cars. I mean, this Jag here reminds me of a Jag that my dad used in the street. But to take it out to Bridgehampton and race it, to say that these guys were brave, that would be an understatement. And what's even more amazing is this is in the 50s, and by 1980, which is probably the last time I raced out there, we were driving ground effects Formula Atlanta cars, 2 liters as opposed to the Formula One 3 liters. So they were fast, big tires, ground effects, wings, and to think that it was the same track, just as narrow, just as fast, just as sandy, just as dangerous, is absolutely amazing. But when you did it right, a lap at Bridgehampton was euphoric. There were places that when you first arrived as a rookie, well, I've got to brake here, I've got to brake there. And then you find out, after a year or two of experience and constant driving, constant practicing at the bridge, there were less and less, if you can believe this, less and less places to brake. It was incredibly fast, incredibly dangerous, but as I say, like a beautiful woman, exhilarating. And it's just amazing to watch these guys go bumper to bumper, in a track designed 50 years ago or more. No runoff, no catches, no catch fencing, no safety barriers. These guys were brave. Just amazing. Brings back so many memories. And here we are going up the front straight. The bridge went up years later, which connected the paddock to the clubhouse, and I use the word clubhouse loosely. And this turn here, the downhill after the straight, this was a turn when you first approached it, you probably braked twice, double apex. Years later, in a ground effects car with fat tires, you didn't even lift. And that corner alone was probably worth a second a lap. But then here, after you did that downhill and you got your heart back in your chest, you'd probably catch your breath here going down into this right-hander, which you had a late apex because you had to stay over to the right to get this left-hander, which is actually much faster than it appears. Now we head down the long back straight, and this is where you really pick up some speed. Down, 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 left kink, a little further, and this left turn here could really get you into trouble. I used to sneak out onto the track with a can of white spray paint and mark the late apex, so that when I was out there, I would remember exactly where I had to clip the apex, because this track, like every other track, the secret, of course, was always late apex. You late apex, you live forever. Early apex, you have a very short career in a race car.
After badgering the faster classes in practice sessions, Daniel joins his own race group to lead the field and enjoy the flag laps and photo ops with his wife, Anne. He still has the first place trophy for D&E production in the 1957 SCCA inaugural races at Bridgehampton to prove it. The bridge attained international status in 1960 and is still remembered around the world. The bridge golf course has retained the racetrack landforms, colors, and terrains of the Noyac woodlots. Racers are welcome to walk the track down the long straight that terminates so dramatically under the Chevron Bridge, itself a World War II artifact. The clubhouse pays homage to the ghosts of 40 years of racing at the Bridgehampton Road Races Center, with a virtual museum of automotive art, and now it has a priceless record of the very outset thanks to Daniel Stanfill. The McLaren plaque, long missing with the flagpole in the paddock, has recently come home anonymously and is now under lock and key until a new flagpole can provide a proper mounting. To do something well is so worthwhile that to die trying to do it better cannot be foolhardy. It would be a waste of life to do nothing with one's ability, for I feel that life is measured in achievement, not in years alone. Bruce McLaren, 1937 to 1970.